Great email designs don't just mean pretty pictures. Great email designs mean creating emails that get to the inbox, spark curiosity, and help convert those people into purchasers. In this video, I'm going to run through the exact email design process that we use for our 7- and 8-figure clients. So let's dive in. Whenever you're designing an email, the first thing that you want to consider might not be exactly what you think. It's actually deliverability. If you can't get to the inbox, it doesn't matter how great your email is and how much time you spent on designing it, it won't convert because it doesn't even get in front of your subscribers. So here's a few design tips to kick things off to make sure you actually get into the inbox. Make the email design 600 pixels wide. Now you can export as 1200 pixels and then import it into Klaviyo. There are 3 major pitfalls you need to avoid if you want to stay out of the spam folder. The first is just make sure your email is not too long and the file size is not too large. The best way to do this is just make sure your image files are not too large. While platforms like Klaviyo can handle up to 5 megabytes, it's usually recommended to keep the file size 1 megabyte or smaller. Here's an example of an email that is way too long. Now, the second major pitfall is just uploading everything as one image. Emails that are 100% images or very, very image heavy may end up triggering the spam filters. This is because scammers may often try to send scams in images to avoid spam filters. Instead, emails should contain a combination of images and text. Ideally, emails should contain around 500 text characters just to avoid spam filters. It's just kind of a rule of thumb that'll help. Now, you might see a lot of big brands sending full image emails, but here's the thing. Number one, they probably have a much higher authority or domain reputation than you, so they have a much easier time avoiding spam. And number two is you don't actually know what deliverability looks like inside some of these brands. I've seen behind the scenes and some of them are not pretty. The third major pitfall that we see brands make is just over hyperlinking. We'll dive into this a little bit more later in the video, but the main thing you want to avoid is just keep the links to a minimum. A large amount of hyperlinked text can also be considered a red flag for ESPs or email service providers. Okay, cool. Now that we've made sure our designs are actually getting to the inbox, now let's dive into some of the general design best practices that we use for our clients. But just before we do that though, one of the biggest pitfalls that people make when designing emails is just overfilling emails. Remember what the purpose of the email actually is. It's to spark curiosity and to get people to click. The objective is not to get them to purchase. And that's your website's job. We need to get in front of people and give them a compelling reason to click your email and go to your website. Now, I've seen a lot of email marketers and brands just try to get as much information as humanly possible into their emails. So there's 2 mistakes here. The first is just over-explaining or overwriting things. Keep it simple. A trick that I use is write it once, edit it down, and then come back later and edit it down further. You're not trying to hit a word count on a grade 12 English assignment. You're trying to get your message across in the fewest words possible. The second mistake is adding too many different things into your email. Adding your sale promotion, adding a product spotlight, adding a reminder about a local market you're going to, a blog post, and a request to review all in one email. This leads to decision paralysis and will not lead to more purchases. If you've got a sale you want to promote, talk about the sale that you want to promote and make sure that is the only call to action in the email. You don't want 17 call to actions. If you want people to leave a review, make sure that is the only call to action. So keep it simple and make sure people know exactly what you want them to do in each email. With this email, for example, this is a product spotlight. Our only objective here is to talk about how great the pillow slides are and why people who don't have them are missing out. It's simple, it's clear, and it's to the point. Okay, so now that we've cleared that up, let's dive in and I'll break down a few emails and why they work so well. Okay, so the first email here has a super clear header and it's addressing the pain point in the header. The CTA is above the fold and the CTA also pops. And then just below that, we dive into some of the pain points and then dive into dreamscaping. So like, what would life be without these pain points? We finish off with the benefits and then a CTA. Now, other notes about this email: the colors are on brand, the colors are consistent, there's one main CTA, one main objective of the email, and there's lots of white space. It's not overwhelming for the eyes. Okay, so the second email here, again, very clear header, and it's addressing the pain point. The CTA again is above the fold. This is super important. The CTA pops. We then create some urgency, and then we have another CTA, and then we have kind of like the benefits and use cases, and then another CTA here. Other notes about this email: the colors are on point, the colors match, the colors are on brand. There's one main CTA, there's one main objective of the email, and again, there's lots of white space. Now here's the third email we're going to review. Again, clear header. This is a sale email, so we want the sale to pop right at the top. If you're doing a sale, make sure it pops right at the top. You want to know exactly what this email is about. So we've got the CTA above the fold, we have the ideal persona at the top, we then highlight some top selling products just below, and then we post some reviews. So this is social proof, getting people to trust you a little bit more. Okay, so hopefully that helped to give you some ideas on what to look for in emails and what a good design actually looks like. So now let's break down each different section of the email. The first section is the header. This is the first thing that people see when they open. That's why this section needs to pop. And the main purpose of the header isn't to sell. Again, it's to get people's attention. It's to get them interested and to make them want more. We typically want to have our logo at the very top of the email just so they know who it's coming from. And then right below that, we have our main header. Oftentimes, this is going to be an image with text overlay or an image plus text or a GIF. The main thing is that this header needs to pop. It needs to grab attention. And if you have a promo, again, make sure this promo is in the header. And if it's not a promo, make sure people actually want to read on. The header should make someone feel something. So the image selection is super important. You don't just want to plop down a random image. For example, if we sell workout supplements, we might want to show an athlete in peak performance. The next section is the subheader. So this is often included just below the main header or within the main header. And typically what we want to do here is elaborate a little bit more and get people a little bit more interested. So it's not absolutely necessary, but if you do need to explain a little bit more about your sale or promotion or just in general what the email is about, this is where you want to do it. Either tell them more about the sale, create some urgency, create some scarcity, tell them about the end date of the sale, or agitate pain points. You don't always need to have a subheader, but if you do, just make sure it flows nicely into the body, which is the third section. The body of the email is the meat and potatoes of the email. This is really going to vary depending on the type of content and the type of email that you're sending. For example, if we're sending a sale or promotional email, there might be almost no body. Remember, our goal is to say what we need to say in as few words as possible. Point form works really great here too. If you need to elaborate a little bit more, chop those thoughts up into bite-sized chunks. Again, keep it simple. The big pitfalls you want to avoid in your body text beyond this is, number one, trying to fill up the entire space, i.e. having no white space. White space gives readers a break. It makes the email seem less intimidating and less daunting, and honestly, it just looks better. Put these emails side by side and you'll see what I mean. The first one is hella intimidating. My eyes go everywhere. I don't know what to focus on, but the second one flows and is far less intimidating. Number two mistake people make in the body is just talking about you. Customers don't care about you. They care about how you can help them or benefit them. Your copy should speak to that. Instead of talking at people, talk to people. Focus on benefits versus features and use a mix of images and text to show how people can actually benefit from your products. Now, if you're going to use images in the body of your email, I would highly encourage you to be intentional with the images. We should never just have images just to have images. We should be intentional with the images we select and make sure that they actually make sense for the email, i.e., selecting specific images for a abandoned cart or a welcome series, or they hint at benefits. Again, ideally, what we want to do here is just alter people's emotional states. Now, within the body of an email, you may want to have a dynamic product feed. These are particularly helpful in flows, i.e. the abandoned cart flow or the browse abandonment flow. And typically here, they're used to display the products that people were just viewing on your website or just about to check out with. They also might be helpful though in campaigns. If you have a lot of products and you're constantly updating your website, oftentimes we'll use a dynamic product feed to share some top selling products or trending products when we don't want to manually create the section every single time, or we want to leverage some of Klaviyo's machine learning to show the most appropriate products to your customers. Now, what I would recommend doing here is going in and changing the section and saving it as a universal block. Instead of going in each time and then recreating the dynamic product feed, create a standard for your brand. Not only will this help with consistency across emails, but it's also going to save you a ton of time trying to redo it every single time. Just go into the email design the dynamic product section like so, then click on the star button to save it as a universal content block. Now for our clients, we always want to make sure that the text and image is linked to the product, make sure the image size actually looks good, i.e. it's not too big, not too small, and just make sure the spacing is actually appropriate, not too much and not too little. Now the next piece in design is the CTA. Now you'll see there's a few different CTAs here, but CTA is one of the most important parts of your email. At the end of the day, our goal is not to keep people in the email forever. Our goal is to get them to read, to get them to click, and then to get them to go to your website and buy. Without well-placed CTAs, or God forbid, without CTAs at all, your emails will not convert into revenue. Our CTA should be action-based. We want to tell customers the action that we want them to take. And here's the thing. As I mentioned when I was reviewing the designs earlier in the video, we want to have one strong CTA. We don't want an email with 17 different CTAs. Confused brains do not buy. So our general SOP here is always have a CTA above the fold, i.e. before people have to scroll. Add an additional CTA at the bottom of each email as well. Now, in longer emails, we might often have 3 CTAs if it makes sense to do so, and they should all pop. It should be on brand, but it shouldn't just blend in with the rest of the email. You want to make sure it pops out and people see the CTA. As you scan through the email, you should be able to see the CTA in your peripheral vision. Typically, it helps if the CTA contrasts the rest of the email. Okay, so we've made it through the meat and potatoes of the email, but you're not done yet. The footer is the last piece of the puzzle. And don't forget all of the things we just went through earlier in this video. Most brands do, but the footer is absolutely key and is often a huge missed opportunity. So first, I'm going to cover the boring stuff, and then I'm going to get to some of the fun stuff here. The boring stuff is legally, if you are in Canada, the United States, or in pretty much any country in Europe, you need to include the following information in every single email: your mailing address, your email address, and an unsubscribe link. If you do not, it is illegal. I repeat, if you do not, it is illegal. Now, in addition to this, we often add a couple other things to the footer. Social proof, like reviews and amount of reviews or amount of happy customers, brand benefits, not just benefits of a certain product, and contact links. Oh, and then the other thing we add is also social media icons as well. Anyways, I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, please feel free to like and subscribe. And if you do have an e-commerce brand doing at least $50,000 a month in revenue, and you want some help improving your profitability with email marketing and SMS, I'd invite you to apply below. Thanks so much, and have a great day.